Hold on, because this right here, this is not just internet trolling anymore. We just watched 50 Cent drop a Diddy documentary that shook the culture. Diddy responds, lawyers get involved, the internet explodes. And just when you think the story is slowing down, 50 Cent posts a sketch of Jay-Z. Not a shout out, not respect, a sketch. Then someone comments, he's next, isn't he? And 50 likes it. No denial, no joke, no clarification. And now everybody's asking the same question at the same time. Is Jay-Z next? And if he is, why is this happening right now? Because here's the part people are missing. Jay-Z doesn't move like everyone else. When Jay-Z feels pressure, he doesn't tweet, he doesn't go live, he doesn't argue. He moves quietly. And today, we're breaking down what 50 Cent is really doing, why Jay-Z is suddenly in the crosshairs, what breaking silence actually looks like for someone like Hove, and whether this is just 50 being petty or the opening shot of something much bigger. Stay with me, because this story keeps flipping the deeper you go. Before we even talk about Jay-Z, we need to understand the position 50 Cent is in right now. 50 is hot again, and not in a nostalgia way, not in a remember when way, in a real, present-day, controlling the conversation way. The Diddy documentary didn't just perform well, it dominated discussion. People were reacting on every platform, clips everywhere, arguments everywhere. And when Diddy himself had to respond publicly and reportedly tried to shut it down legally, that only made the documentary bigger. That's when 50 is at his most dangerous, when he has momentum, because 50 doesn't chase moments, he capitalizes on them. So when people start asking, who's next after the documentary, 50 sees an opening. Not to accuse, not to expose, but to hint. And hints are more powerful than statements. Let's talk about that Instagram post. 50 posts an exaggerated sketch of Jay-Z, and we're not going to pretend it's harmless. The drawing is disrespectful, exaggerated, clearly meant to mock Jay-Z's appearance. But the caption is where the real game is. Please stop sending me stuff like this. I'm not going to post it, while literally posting it. That's not random humor. That's 50 telling you, I know exactly what I'm doing. He wants Jay-Z to see it. He wants fans to screenshot it. He wants blogs to run with it. And he wants the comment section to do what it always does, speculate. And then it happens. Someone comments, he's next, isn't he? And 50 likes it. That like is everything. Because if this was just a joke, that's where you shut it down. That's where you ignore it. That's where you say, nah, chill. But he didn't. He acknowledged it. And acknowledgement in internet culture is permission for the narrative to grow. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Why Jay-Z? Why is his name even coming up in the first place? It all comes down to proximity. Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just industry peers. They weren't just cool. They were close. Publicly close. Diddy has openly said Jay-Z is the only person in entertainment who can call him by his real name, Sean. That's inner circle energy. That's not surface level friendship. They showed up together, did business in the same spaces, shared stages, parties, influence. Diddy was a regular presence at Roc Nation events. So when Diddy becomes the center of controversy, the public doesn't just look at him. They look at everyone around him. Not because there's proof, but because public perception doesn't wait for proof. And 50 knows that. This tension didn't start yesterday. 50 and Jay-Z have had a complicated relationship for over 2 decades. It started with How to Rob. 50 was taking shots at everyone, and Jay-Z responded with that infamous line, I'm about $1. What the F is 50 cents? And that moment mattered, because 50 built his entire brand on never letting disrespect slide. They've had moments of peace, even did business together, but the tension never fully disappeared. It was always there, quiet, unresolved. And if you really want to talk about recent energy, look at the Super Bowl. Eminem wanted 50 Cent on that stage. Jay-Z reportedly didn't. And it took Eminem refusing to perform without 50 for it to happen. That tells you everything. Jay-Z likes control. 50 doesn't like being controlled. Now here's where people get confused. Jay-Z hasn't posted. He hasn't spoken. He hasn't addressed 50 at all. So how is he breaking silence? Because Jay-Z doesn't speak publicly when pressure builds. He moves the environment around him. And people online notice something interesting. As soon as speculation started trending, suddenly media outlets started pumping out praise pieces, Jay-Z legacy articles, career breakdowns, impact reminders. Now, does that mean Jay-Z ordered anything? No, but it does show awareness. Jay-Z understands narrative control better than almost anyone. Silence, for him, is not weakness, it's strategy. Here's the honest truth. Right now, no. 50 is not touching Jay-Z unless there's real heat. Lawsuits, receipts, multiple voices willing to speak publicly. 50 doesn't gamble on losing positions. What he is doing is applying pressure, testing reactions, keeping his name in the conversation, letting fans do the heavy lifting. Because speculation is free marketing. This isn't just random clowning. The timing matters. The Diddy documentary just dropped. 50 is dominating headlines. People are actively asking who's next. So even if this is trolling, it's strategic trolling. And Jay-Z represents something 50 has always challenged: the untouchable king narrative, the corporate rapper, the industry darling, the one who never gets challenged publicly. And 50 loves poking those figures. So where does this actually go from here? Because this isn't a loud beef. This isn't diss tracks. This isn't Instagram lives. This is something way quieter and honestly, way more uncomfortable. Right now, what we're watching is a silent standoff. On one side, you've got 50 Cent, who thrives in chaos, memes, and public pressure. On the other, you've got Jay-Z, who has spent the last decade carefully removing himself from internet mess entirely. And that difference matters, because 50 wins when people talk. Jay-Z wins when nothing sticks. So the question isn't, will Jay-Z respond? The real question is, can Jay-Z afford not to? Because even silence sends a message, and sometimes that message gets misinterpreted. Here's my honest take, and this is important. This isn't really about Diddy. It's not even really about Jay-Z. This is about power. 50 Cent has always challenged the idea of untouchable figures in hip-hop. He doesn't believe anyone should be protected by legacy, money, or industry alliances. Jay-Z represents the ultimate protected figure: corporate respect, billionaire status, boardroom influence, cultural approval, media safety net. And 50 has never respected that type of power. He respects leverage, fear, attention, pressure. So when 50 likes a comment saying, "He's next," what he's really doing is challenging the hierarchy. He's saying, nobody is above conversation. And that's dangerous in an industry built on image control. Here's where people get it twisted. Jay-Z is not Diddy. And I don't mean that morally or legally, I mean strategically. Diddy lives loud: parties, cameras, excess, public energy. Jay-Z lives quiet, calculated, minimal exposure, controlled appearances. That means if 50 ever did decide to seriously target Jay-Z, it wouldn't look like the Diddy situation at all. It wouldn't be explosive. It would be slow, reputation-based, narrative-based. And that's exactly why Jay-Z is dangerous to challenge, but also why the internet is fascinated by the idea. Because Jay-Z has never really been tested in the social media era like this. Here's something nobody wants to say out loud. Legacy doesn't protect you the way it used to. We've watched icons get questioned, reevaluated, reframed, sometimes unfairly, sometimes deserved, but always publicly. The internet doesn't care how many Grammys you have. It doesn't care how long you've been respected. It cares about narrative. And right now, the narrative is curiosity, not accusations. Curiosity. And curiosity is how things spiral. Jay-Z's biggest strength, silence, can also become his biggest weakness in this era if people start filling in gaps on their own. Let's be real for a second. If this exact same trolling came from anybody else, nobody would care. If a random blogger did it, ignored. If a smaller rapper did it, laughed off. But this is 50 Cent, a guy with a proven history of dragging people into uncomfortable public conversations and winning. A guy who understands timing better than most marketers. A guy who knows how to apply just enough pressure without crossing legal lines. That's why Jay-Z can't just brush this off as internet nonsense, because 50 doesn't do nonsense accidentally. Now let me be fair, there's a very real chance this is all marketing. And if it is, it's genius. 50 keeps his name tied to the biggest conversations without committing to anything. Jay-Z gets reminded that he's still being watched, and the audience stays glued. No accusations, no lawsuits, just tension. That's the safest way to dominate attention. And 50 has been doing that longer than most people have been online. So instead of asking, is Jay-Z next? Here's the better question. What happens if 50 keeps pushing and Jay-Z keeps ignoring? Because eventually, one of two things happens. Either the conversation dies, or it grows loud enough that silence starts looking like avoidance instead of confidence. And that's the danger zone. Not because something is true, but because perception doesn't wait for facts. Let me land this. I don't think 50 is coming for Jay-Z tomorrow. I don't think there's a secret documentary ready to drop. I don't think this is exposure season. I think this is a test, a temperature check, a reminder that even the most protected figures can still be pulled into conversation if someone knows how to press the right buttons. And right now, 50 is pressing buttons. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jay-Z is handling this perfectly by staying silent? Or do you think silence in 2025 is actually risky? Do you think 50 is trolling or laying groundwork? And if this is just marketing, is it smart or is it playing with fire? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because whether this goes anywhere or not, one thing is clear. When 50 Cent starts smiling online, it's never just a joke. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos, and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.